Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com. You can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started this week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
Ruben Bressler.
What's up? I'm still writing the tweet over here.
He's still writing the tweet.
In the chat.
That's right. We are running a professional operation here.
We really are.
Fully good to go. Well, this week we get started with, of course, with our Trumpet Blast. We don't got one this week, but if you just support us at our highest level on Patreon, you'll get to say whatever you would like in this current spot right here. That said, we kick it off with the giveaway. Theros Beyond Death booster box is being given away today.
That's right. An entire box of boosters.
Exclamation mark raffle. If you are subscribed, which I hope you are, and if you subscribe, you get 2 entries. Okay, not just one. You get dubbed entries. You can do this. Exclamation mark raffle.
Dub entries.
Dub a dub.
I thought you were going to say like dose or something like that.
No, I'm redneck. No. All right. But you want to get in on that. Exclamation mark raffle. Make it happen. Good luck to everybody who enters and all that. All right. So we're going to kick it off with our first pick. And it has to be, even if it's a little more than a week now, it has to be the January 13th, 2020 banned restricted announcement. In Modern, Mox Opal, Oko Thief of Crowns, and Mycosynth Lattice are all banned.
Yeah, this was a bloodbath. I think a lot of people suspected that Oko was coming because it was getting to the point that you could put Oko in anything. Like people were putting Oko in Burn. There was an Oko Merfolk list. Like it was just that good that it could make a deck 5-0 that wouldn't normally be viable or as viable. Mox Opal's really interesting. It's been a problematic card for a while. A lot of people have been asking for it to be banned. There have been a lot of decks that have flirted with being bannable, like Hardened Scales, Affinity at various points. They brought up a really good point about it just being one of those cards that is always going to be problematic, and they can choose to cut it off at the pass now while it's already doing broken things, or they can wait a little bit longer, and they chose to take care of it. And Mycosynth Lattice really was a part of the Eldrazi Tron decks, and even I think regular Tron was using that as a really unpleasant way to lock their opponents out and end the game, and they just decided that they didn't want to give people that motivation anymore.
For those who don't know, Karn the Great Creator doesn't let you use activated abilities of artifacts. Your opponents can't, and Mycosynth Lattice turns all your stuff into artifacts or all their stuff. So.
Right. And more specifically, Karn lets you grab your one Mycosynth Lattice from your sideboard. So the decks that want to use Karn can just do it like it's a toolbox deck now, instead of just throwing it into any old deck, like Tron really was the problem child with this, which is we'll just throw this in and have an accidental I win button where 85% of the time it wished for Mycosynth Lattice.
Yeah, and then they mentioned that they were keeping an eye on Pioneer. They seem to be really happy with it. I do find it interesting they were talking about the fact that they were keeping an eye on the Heliod Suncrown and Walking Ballista interaction, and that combo ended up being garbage. Like I think Canister posted a tweet and was like, don't do it, it's not going to work. Or no one's going to let you have it. So I think that combo ended up fizzling, but they seem to be pretty happy with the other formats so far.
Right.
Well, yeah. So instead of Heliod being the concern, there's this other red card, you see, that is broken.
Oh my god. So in Modern, they're doing things with Stinkweed Imp and Runaway Steamkin and Manamorphose. There's a clip going around Twitter that you can find. I just saw my friend Brady, who was streaming Vintage. People are doing it with Oath of Druids. So
the card we're talking about is Underworld Breach.
Underworld Breach, yeah. So you use Oath of Druids to get a creature, which is Sun Titan. It will mill the Underworld Breach and put it in your graveyard. When Sun Titan enters the battlefield, you get the Underworld Breach back. And because Underworld Breach doesn't exile any of these cards, when you cast Time Walk to get another turn, you sacrifice the Underworld Breach at the end of your turn, attack with the Sun Titan, and do it all again. Like, it's ridiculous.
I can't. This card is so dumb. It's just so dumb. Why would you do this? And as I mentioned in the pre-show, if your aim was let's make something completely busted that's going to go over the top, why isn't this a mythic? This is a hell of a spell. You can say this thing is a mythic if you want to. You can sell some booster packs if that's what you're trying to do here. Because I honestly, what are they doing? Why is this happening? I don't get it. They must love this card.
It's hilarious. I like how good it makes bad cards. There are a bunch of compelling argument decks that I've
Chronic
been
flooding?
seeing tweeted.
Chronic
Chronic flooding is like $6 a piece now.
Jeez.
Are you serious?
All you fans of Ty Gam's scheming, boy, let me tell you.
Oh my god.
We've got. Do I have the home for hidden strings? Yeah, it's. Yeah, I like Underworld Breach in that it makes all of your terrible cards. Like, can this work with this card? It's pretty
so
adorable.
funny.
But yeah, going back to the bans, I think that Mox Opal was on the watch list for being banned for years. It was about time that they got rid of it. It's a little bit of an awkward timing because Urza is the problem.
There's some
Urza's
judge
now.
promos, I believe, too.
What?
Judge promos, I think, were Mox Opals.
Yeah, were they?
Maybe
Something.
some sort of player reward. And
Yeah,
obviously the masterpiece version, but like
Even
Urza
Mox
was
Arcbound
Opal-
Ravager. Arcbound Ravager was a promo, too.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
those decks
But
rely on Mox Opal.
Mox Opal was the most expensive card in Modern. More
Oh, yeah.
expensive so than Liliana or Jace or anything else. So the timing is a bit odd because it could have been banned a year ago and we wouldn't really have batted an eye.
Yeah.
This does make decks like Hardened Scales significantly worse.
Thank God.
I've heard that Lantern gets worse because your mana is worse.
good.
In your
If-
three-color
I'm not
deck.
seeing the problem here.
But those are decks that were tier 2. And the Urza decks stay tier 1 and are like almost better.
Yeah, they
Weirdly.
don't seem to be kept down by this. I know a couple of people that are still testing Urza decks and they seem to be fine. So we may very well be back here in 6 months.
I mean, they banned $100 card. This is big. Like, this is a serious banning. This card showed up in 2010. We've dealt with this thing the whole time. And like when it came out, I was there. Like I was literally there when they previewed it at Pro Tour Amsterdam. I could talk to the devs. And they were, they were concerned. They were super nervous. They felt like maybe this went too far. They should have tested it more, or maybe the metalcraft should have been different, or it shouldn't have metalcraft at all. And it turned out to obviously be fantastic. And then it turned out to basically be a problem.
Yeah.
And then Urza comes out, and you're like, really? That is not the card you ban? Is this thing that makes all of your artifacts into Mox Sapphires? Temporal apertures on that thing for some friggin' reason?
It is weird that it's a Correct Clan Ironworks that also has pay 5 mana, cast something from your deck.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And so it is a little ridiculous. But I think that the Urza decks are going to start becoming more mid-rangey. They were already kind of headed in that direction rather than combo. Your Paradoxical Outcome versions in Modern, not nearly going to be as good. So Mox Opal is a good ban. I mean, it's in terms of its ability to turn decks into broken decks, it was high on the list.
I will say I am a little sad to see Affinity go, because I was one of the people that really liked Affinity as a pillar of Modern. I always enjoyed playing against it, and so that's some collateral damage that I'm a little sad for, because I don't know if Affinity, regular old Steel Overseer Affinity can really survive that.
Right. So I saw a couple new lists of Affinity.
Did you?
That use like Arcbound Worker and stuff. But I've also heard a movement called #FreeTheTree. Anybody heard of Free the Tree?
The artifact lands.
Yeah, they want you to unban one
artifact.
They can have one artifact land as a tree. So Tree of Tales is the one they're talking about because Hardened Scales, right? You could do Ancient Den and give them access to like Dispatch and maybe make Tempered Steel a thing.
Artifact lands are in the exact same spot as Jace the Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge Mystic. They are 100% safe to unban. Stop being afraid of them. There's nothing wrong with these things.
I think you unban one of them and you see how things go. Then you unban another one and you see how things go.
Right.
Because there's 5 of them. You can adjust that knob a little bit.
And while we're at it, let's unban Dread Return while we're here. It's fine. You guys have you have Force of Negation. You got your counter spells.
All I'm saying.
No, that's no.
Look, all I'm saying is like there is a threshold that needs to be met there, and it's just I don't get it. I think that the artifact lands are just another boogeyman to be afraid of, that they banned from the get-go. And are we afraid of free 4/4s? That's really like, ooh, don't thought cast. Not in that format. Like for real?
Please no, not the podcast.
Come on.
Please no, not 2/3 of a sorcery speed recall.
All right.
Yeah. Oko obviously had to go. I think Mycosynth Lattice going is fine.
Yeah.
yeah, that's about it.
All right, we got a million things to talk about this week.
We do.
Because
shout out to our listeners that gave us so many topics over the last couple of weeks. We really appreciate you looking out.
Yeah, we have the show topics channel in our Discord. If you can get to our Discord, if you support us at any level on Patreon, even just the $1 level gets in there.
Yeah, and I apologize for some of y'all Patreon people not getting the link to the Discord. I tried to go back and get some comments in there to make sure that everybody has it.
Hashtag professional.
If you don't have the link to the Discord and you're a patron, comment on the Patreon page, and you can get it there.
I see. All right, so. And I screwed up and didn't have the alert box on, so that's a thing I just fixed. All right, so we got to move on here to gathering the townsfolk. This is about like showing on screen when people subscribe and stuff.
Sure.
There is a new secret lair. It didn't take them long,
not at all,
from making $200 for the set of 7 to hey, there's going to be a brand new one that's going to show up on January 27th, 5 days from now. It's the 8-card set. It's $40. It features, you know, rat colony. You get 5 rat colonies, which is kind of cool. You get 1 Marrow-Gnar, which is a new artwork in foil. That card is like $30 freaking.
I was just gonna say it's a gazillion dollars.
I cannot believe how much that thing is. An amazing looking ink eyes servant of Pony. Let me get this on the screen for you guys. And finally, there's a pack rat out there.
Ink wash style ink eyes, which I really appreciated. That's sumi-e painting. That's traditional Japanese style painting. The red envelope pack rat and the red envelope Marrow-Gnar.
Oh yeah, for the Chinese New Year, Chinese Year of the Rat.
New Year. I thought those were fantastic. I mean, the art is just fun and neat, and the good luck rattos are out in full force, and I'm very pleased, and they're very cute, and I really like this one a lot.
Yeah.
And there's just, and the value is there. Like Ink Eyes, despite being reprinted like a ton of times, it's still like a $10 card.
Sure.
The Marrow-Gnar just came out of nowhere for me. I could not believe how expensive that thing was. Because it was total trash back in the day. No one cared about that stupid card. Pack Rat looks absolutely insane, and I love the rat colony stuff, which is great. But this is, you know, the question of, wow, you kind of went back to that well pretty fast, Wizards. We're gonna get secret lairs like every month, every other month now. Like,
yeah, I don't know. That was pretty quick. I mean, this one makes sense because it's January. It's the year of the rat. I get it. But like, if we get like the Valentine's Day themed love box next month,
right?
And then it's starting to get a little.
And then there's the green, you know, Irish-esque for March. Yeah. And then April, there's something to do with lands because it's the April showers and
sure.
You know, maybe it's regrowth or something. You know, there's a whole bunch
Mother's
of stuff.
Day in May. Yeah. So you get like Mother of Runes and and Dragon Queen and stuff like that.
Right, exactly. So, but that is, man, that is a well that is going to dry up really quickly. There's only so many times, regardless of how cool this art is, that you're going to be able to pull that lever and get millions of dollars. How
different is it from our loot box suggestion, where instead of signing up for a loot box, you just buy the ones you want?
Yeah.
For $40, it's like a very expensive loot box.
Sure.
Yeah.
But once a month they come out with one of these, and sometimes you buy them and sometimes you don't, depending on. But for the collect-em-alls out there, for the people who want to collect everything.
For the collect-em-alls and for the people where other products just don't do anything for them. You know, like there are some people who, you know, don't buy the Commander Precons, and they may not buy packs, or they may not buy boxes of the newest set, or they may not buy, you know, this might be just sort of their thing. And so I think there is an audience for this. Like you said, it allows you to specifically choose the singles that you want. And so if these were cards that you were thinking of getting anyways, you have the loot box audience. You know, I think this is something that could be quite lucrative, whether or not it stays as successful as it's been, whether or not the numbers keep going up. I'm not sure about that, but I think there is room for a consistent pull here.
The key to this product is that they got the ability for this to be shipped to China. Now, that is the market that they want. This is clearly aimed toward a Chinese market, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is business decisions, and I'm okay with that. It's just, it seems that's just what they're doing. Now, we're going to move on here a little bit to the question of someone, basically
It's
asking.
a really sassy question.
It was a sassy question.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is like, did he, I'm sure he got more than one of these questions.
Yeah.
Yet Mark Rosewater chose the very snidey one
God
to
bless him.
answer so he could kind of give a lesson in front of it or whatever. But ultimately, he's trying to say, why didn't we run Secret Lair through local game stores? Because let's go back here for a second. There was this thing called From the Vault, where distributors would take pre-orders. WPN stores would get certain amounts of them. They were, a MSRP that never was really the MSRP because they were always worth more. This was a gift to the stores. This gave a very important influx of cash to local game stores who just scrape by on the most insane margins. And now they're going to sell it direct. So they say the short answer is we can't logistically, at least not drastically, at least not without drastically raising the price and taking significantly longer to get the product to you. Secret Lair is what is known as a, quote, short window print-to-order product. It requires having a single uniform ordering point. Otherwise, there's no way to monitor the time cutoff. Also, with print-to-order, you want a single uniform shipping point. In addition, we want the product to get to as many players as possible. And many players do not have easy access to a local game store. Local game stores are very important to us, and we're making more products than ever sold through them, but not every product works cleanly through them, Secret Lair being a good example. It's just logistically and financially unviable. And
Is that true?
No. Like, it's ridiculous.
That's what I was going to
This whole thing is ridiculous. Like, look,
Okay.
I understand as marketing, you're in a corporation, you're trying to put the best foot forward, you're trying to explain. You can't say because Hasbro, and or Wizards wanted to make more money. You can't just say that. I get it. But you can't tell me that you cannot take pre-orders for a product. You couldn't ask distributors, hey, how many of these would you want? And they'll tell you how many they want, and they'll pay you for them, and then they'll sell all of those to the stores, who will then sell all those to the players and be able to make something along that way. Instead, when you take that whole chain out, you get all of it. You get the lion's share of it. So, it's just I just don't like the fact that he kind of came out and was like, this is completely undoable through local game stores. Hell no, it's what are you talking about?
So
of course
it's
it's doable.
spin. Okay.
It's spin, and I get it. Look, you could say because Joe Blow lives out in the middle of Montana and has no local game store, how are they supposed to get the Secret Lair products? And I go, well, yeah, but how about the thousands of game stores that you just helped out in a huge way that you no longer do?
Yeah.
Don't tell me you can't pre-order this product. Don't tell me you can't ask distributors for numbers on these products because they would have given you one.
I also think that this is part of this paradigm shift that WotC has been making over the past since Arena came out, where they just don't They don't rely on local game stores as much.
Yeah.
They don't owe local game stores anything, they feel. I don't know if it's a symbiotic relationship anymore. And so they've moved away from it. This is essentially the new From the Vaults, which were hard to get in store.
Right.
And so they're trying to cut out that middleman for these specific products.
Right. And they can
I can't blame them from a pure numbers standpoint.
Right.
Like from a game theory optimized standpoint, you should be doing it this way. I also understand why people are mad.
Right. I mean, because clearly I'm seeing it from a retailer type perspective as well. But like, I'm just saying, and it's not like the cool stuff's the world. We're, relying on this cash infusion from the vault or whatever. We're talking like Joe Blow in the strip mall or whatever, who's just doing the best they can to run the events they can. They can have a 16-player F&M because that's all the players they can fit in there. Those are the types of products that they were relying on year after year to help them kind of get through some slow months. Yeah. And now it just all goes to them. So I'm just saying, just don't lie to me, man. If it's all about making more money, it's okay. I know you want to do it. It's fine.
And also, don't make Mark Rosewater say it.
Right? Why you gotta make Mark go out there and feed us something that those who know and Magic players are very usually tuned into how things work and how these things are structured. And I don't know, just don't pee on my shoes and tell me it's raining. All right, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just saying, man. I don't like Rosewater having to go out there and do that either because
that's the part I don't like the most.
Whatever, it's fine. Okay, so either way, Year of the Rat, January 27th. If you want it, there's $40. The value is clearly there. The original Secret Lair, it sells for $300. You could bought it for $200, sell it for $300. Yeah, that's what it is right now on eBay. So you can get the whole set for $300. That means after fees, you would have made $80 if all you did was give them $200 and then just ship it right out to somebody else.
Wow.
So you're probably going to make $50 to $60 on these if you buy it for $40 and wait a couple months. That's kind of how that works, you know. And Wizards is clearly sort of showing you that value. You know, they're the big foil is the Maronar, and they can't necessarily point that out, but the artwork's great as well.
Yeah.
Here you go, $40, let's do it. And it's hard to deny that you're not going to get your money out of it, you know. So either way, moving on here to the Magic World Championship, which is happening February 14th or something. I think that's about right. Something? Does anybody know when it actually happens?
I don't. The only thing I know about this is, didn't they just announce that drafting is confirmed? Draft is confirmed.
Standard and draft. It's
Standard
going to be in
draft,
Honolulu,
okay.
February 14th through 16th, and they have a website here, and I'm going to link it in the chat. It'll be, of course, in the show notes.
Wow, this video is in your face.
This video is very, you know,
very esports,
very esportsy for sure.
Very okay.
This is the tournament that's going to change my life, and this
the
is the
world will know.
Oh yeah, so you can hashtag find your champion, which means you get to go and basically place your bet on who is going to do well in the event. And I'll bring the website on the screen here because there's rewards essentially in Arena that you can get as a result of them doing well. And you can pick any of the 16 competitors and kind of go
this
from there.
This looks like a Mortal Kombat like character select screen. It's kind of cool.
Oh, I know, isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
So here on the screen again, they have hashtag find your champion. You check out the competitors, you select your champion, cheer them on. Here are the rewards. And you get like a special sleeve, and if you choose the winner, you're gonna get the trophy pet, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they have these videos that are going to come out every day that are going to profile all of these Magic players, which is super duper cool. So tomorrow is Autumn Burchett's, and then followed by Eli Loveman, and so on and so forth until we get to all 16 videos. And so it's really sweet that you can see all the profile of these people and choose who you think is going to win.
This is really good promotion for these players, which is
really
something that we've kind of needled them for in the past. And so if you are one of the people on here, this is really great exposure. And I think promotion goes two ways. So I think that, you know, while Wizards is certainly doing their part to promote these people, I also hope that these players are going to meet them halfway and go, hey, there are eyes on me. I should find a way to like keep them on me, as opposed to not tweeting, not promoting myself, not being engaging. You know, I hope that they grab this opportunity.
And a lot of them do. I mean, Javier is a great example of someone who took the baton and ran with it.
Yeah.
A bunch of the folks who are on the in the top 16 here, Gabe Nassif, for example, is excellent at self-promotion. Ondřej Stráský. But yeah, you would like to see the Marcus Leverados and Eli Loveman's also capitalize and get involved.
Yeah, this is your moment.
Right. Yeah. This is really sweet. To be clear, you know, we certainly give Wizards infinite grief if they're making mistakes. I also like to give them infinite praise if they do something really good. This is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, nice looking pictures. You a lot of repeating who these people are, so that they make sure you know who they are.
Right. They get people invested in the event itself. You have
hashtag.
Rewards. Right.
And so here's the other thing that happened. I chose a champion.
Oh.
And I received a personalized email.
From them?
The person that from the Wizards website.
Oh, okay.
But it's written by the person I picked, who thanked me for picking them.
I love that you're not naming them.
Well, I thought we were going to tell who our champions were.
You know how to play an arena.
You can still pick a champion. There's nothing wrong with that.
This has nothing to do with playing arena.
Well, listen, the point is, first of all, Ruben, that is brilliant. I think that's brilliant.
Oh, very nice.
The customized letter that comes from the pro. Again, this is a star building maneuver done very, very well. So whoever had this idea, get that person lunch. Good job.
Yep.
Did a good job.
This is a Mishy idea, right? This is going to be a Mishy Fishy.
It might have been Athena, because Athena's the community manager. Yeah. If I had to pick anybody looking at this list, you know, I'm going to go with Chris Kavartek. Like, he has really
he
busted
exploded
out
onto the scene.
Yeah, and just, I don't know anybody who doesn't love this guy. You just can't help but root for him. He's really, really good. I mean, the way that I knew that Chris was going to be a star was when Randy Bueller chimed in and was even like, this guy's plays are amazing. And Randy's been there, done that, you know, seen it all. And so for a new player to come on the scene like this and impress Randy straight out of the gate, that to me says something, and I'm anxious to see what Chris does.
Evan, do you have a pick?
Oh, it's so difficult to choose between Javier Dominguez and Andrea Mengucci.
Javier's on fire.
They're just they're both just completely crushing it recently and have been on such incredible tears. I think I got to go with the fervent champion and choose Mr. Javier Dominguez.
Yeah. You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit into the wind. You don't put a mask on the Lone Ranger, and you don't bet against Javier Dominguez in a 16-person tournament.
Yeah.
And so, my note was from Javier being like, hey, thanks for choosing me.
Oh, very nice.
Like, follow my adventures over here. I might not be the best, but I try harder than anyone.
Aww.
Oh,
you gotta root for that, you know?
Yeah.
I swear, we are in wholesome memes territory over here.
What is it? The heart? I can never do it. Like,
you can, this is a heart, although I learned this one is a heart. You see this?
I feel like we're back to the church thing again.
Well, see, like, and it's really cute.
Oh, yeah, with the people.
Well, it's really cute with my kids. What my girls will do is they'll do half of it. You do one half, and they do the other half, and that's how you kind of do the thing.
See, I'm old. The only hand gesture I know was when Gaga was coming up, and she did the weird, like... I could try to do that. This kind of
Hold on, Evan.
Me.
We can. Let me line it up with the window.
Okay.
I don't know if I can line it up. Nope,
go
that's not.
Right.
I gotta go to my left.
To your left. There we go.
Am I there?
We all right. Close enough. Good job, everybody.
All right, we did it.
Excellent. All right, let's move on here to some promos. The 2020 Players Tour qualifier promos. Let me tell you, the qualifiers are underway, and these are the promos that you'll get as a result of playing at them. And you also get them with qualifiers are also the Premier Series events such as the Latam Magic Series and SCG Tour. All award unique promotional prize cards based on the Players Tour series it qualifies you for. You got to contact the organizer to let you know about that stuff. But first, seriously, Cryptic Command. Look at that Cryptic Command.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Good card.
Love it. So the first round, this being January 11th through March 29th is the Cryptic Command, and then April 3rd through July 26th is Surgical Extraction, which is an awesome one.
Yeah.
That's a good choice, and you know it. But it
is super expensive, but I hate the card.
Yeah.
The real sickness is this Aether Vial.
Gorgeous.
This new Aether Vial? Yeah.
It's July 31st through November 22nd. Holy cow. That is amazing.
Beautiful.
These are really nice. All of these are really excellent cards to be giving away as promos, especially to competitive players as opposed to judge promos. Like, these would be worse as judge promos than, loyal retainers when you want that in Commander or whatever.
They're not going anywhere. No one's going to ban either Vial. No one's going to ban. I wish they'd ban Surgical, but no one's going to ban Cryptic Command.
Right. Well, these are right, and these are spike, promos.
Yeah.
These are 100% tournament player promos as they should be.
There might be no greater dearth between tournament playability and EDH playability on a card than Surgical Extraction.
That's a good point.
I don't think anyone has ever played Surgical Extraction in Commander.
You could maybe put it in like a Keurig deck if you're feeling frisky, but
sure,
yeah,
why not? I know that when Shivam was like, "Wow, that card's expensive," I had no idea, and I was like, "Yeah, that tracks."
Also, shout out to Shivam. Shivam just recently went solo and started his own podcast by himself, which I know he can carry, and it's getting rave reviews so far. And he is just an amazing person to get to know, and really great storyteller, really great conversationalist. So please feel free to listen to his show and support him.
Absolutely. All right. So moving on here to Magic Legends. Remember we were getting an MMO? You remember they told us that? Remember we were like MMO and you were talking about World of Warcraft and this is going to pull you back into the MMO thing and like we could all maybe do a raid. Maybe we could have like a Magic Mike's like what do they call them? A guild?
A
Fantastic.
raid? Yes. I could heal you.
Yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be awesome. We could actually schedule times for like maybe patrons or something to be involved.
Sounds great.
Yeah, no. They're not doing that.
Why
They're
not?
not doing that at all. Magic Legends is now a 3-person, maybe instance-based. Now, if you play Destiny, for example, Destiny is kind of a massive multiplayer game, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't play enough Diablo to know, but I know that in Destiny, for example, you can go kind of on these strikes that happen like between 3 or 4 players, and that's that's them by themselves, and they're doing their sort of adventure. So maybe that's what they're talking about. Like you have kind of a hub that you're all at, and then you kind of go do things.
Someone also noticed that they removed a lot of the MMO verbiage from their advertising and things like that. So it does feel like a bit of a bait and switch there. It does feel like we were kind of sold this sort of World of Warcraft adventure where, you could be a healer and maybe you could be a tank and that was sort of going to be a thing. And, and there's nothing wrong with Diablo. I certainly played Diablo 3. I was a witch doctor. I have a great appreciation for those games, but it doesn't doesn't feel like what we were given. It does feel like a last minute, wait a minute here. I'll probably still play it, to be completely honest. It's not going to turn me off in any way, but it is noticeable that, there seems to be a change in plans.
They're also still calling themselves an MMO in their Twitter headline.
Well, I think there's a difference between an MMO and an MMORPG. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it still meets the requirements. I just don't think it's
a massive multiplayer online game, but it's not a massive multiplayer online role.
Like, there's subtle differences there. Like, I don't think they've done anything like really wrong, but for those of us that are used to these things, we caught it.
One of the things that they have done is that you get to choose essentially what type of mage you want to be. You can't be Jace or Chandra or Tezzeret.
Good.
You can be the Mind Mage or the Fire Mage, but you look exactly like Jace and Chandra.
Right.
You
look just Kroger
like
brand Jace. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're Kroger brand. You're cheese. You're the government.
Costco Chandra.
I didn't want to be the characters, but I think if you're not going to be them, then you shouldn't make us look like them. That feels it's like when you go to the dollar store and you get Darcy instead of Barbie. Like, like at least give us a different doll,
Right.
Yeah,
and so
what is this game now?
It's a Diablo kind of clone that uses magic IP as part of the characters.
Yeah, so there's like a mind bender, there's an elementalist, I think, which is like the red version. I'm waiting for the necromancer, honestly, but I'll probably still play this. I just don't think I don't have as high hopes for it as I did before.
But like as soon as they said, well, it's not an MMO, it's gonna be this 3-player thing, and I'm like, why don't we just play as Jace? Why don't you have downloadable content? Why don't you have DLC that includes new planeswalkers, right? This DLC has a new Ashiok that has different spells and Calyx or whatever, and that's how you get different characters to play as in the game. And again, obviously you could do it 2 different ways. Clearly they went that way. I just feel like if I'm looking exactly like Jace, why the hell am I not just Jace?
Then you might as well be Jace.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it develops. Either way. So Magic Esports decided to do like some really weird stuff about almost 2 weeks ago. We're sorry to bring it to you now, but we wanted to bring it up because it's important Magic news.
Wasn't it like an overnight announcement?
Yes.
Okay.
At 6:08.
It was during the day.
It was 6:08 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern Standard. So 3 o'clock their time. Either way, they said this year we promised stability. Well, they made a change to like Grand Prix points. Being given
I think that happened overnight. I think they woke up. People woke up to this.
Happened overnight. Yes.
And then the outrage happened all day long, and then they finally heard it and then did something.
Right. So this was about this was about points going to Grand Prix as well, and they just kind of threw it out there, and they didn't prepare anybody for it. And
you could email people and say like you don't want that event to count, and then
my God, I remember this. Oh, it was gross. You couldn't take your best performances. You could only take the performances that you first played in or something.
Yeah.
You could opt out of it by some poor schlub who had to look at an email account all weekend to make sure you were checked and not counted. And oh my God. Either way, they basically apologized. They reverted it. This was bad. We apologize. Moving on. Like, okay, that's all right. We had a stumble. Let's keep it moving. I'll take a good decision late. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Better late than never.
Sincere apology.
Right. Good. And this was not even that long of a wait. Like they hopped on this one immediately.
So
which was nice. So there are going to be new promo packs. There's a new promo pack for every set, and this has replaced the F&M promos. Yeah, at your local store, if you play in events, they'll give you promo packs for stuff, and some of them are premium promo packs that have all foils in them and whatnot, which are nice as well. And so Theros Beyond Death, starting with Theros Beyond Death, continue with Ikoria and Core Set 2021. Some promo packs will contain a card that may not be standard legal. Now, and they included the list of, let's see, of course, to keep the Theros feel, the promo packs, there are only 20 non-standard cards you could see in the full list of 120 cards.
What a weird list of cards.
It's a super weird list.
Commander Staples, Gilded Lotus, which is, $3 to $5. I just splurged on a Noxious Gear Hulk. That's $5 to $6. Sidisi Undead Vizier.
Is that what these are?
$10.
This is what they have. This is what they have in common. These
are Commander All-Star cards.
These are Commander cards.
Yeah, none of them is worth more than like $6 or $7.
Yeah.
So it's not going to break the bank. There's no crazy lottery involved in these promo cards. But again, these are cards that are used frequently.
Some Pioneer disallow us seeing play in Pioneer. I know that stock has risen a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the Animist has always been, I know that's a hotness in Commander. And so, yeah, there's an audience for these.
Right. Ultimately doesn't really have a ton of value, if that makes sense, just monetarily, as it were. So in some ways that's good, and in some ways that's bad.
What's another way to get these cards in? It sounds like they're listening. They understand that reprints need to happen, and this is another way to facilitate that. So I'm fine.
I mean, Helm of the Host needs a reprint.
Yeah.
So let's get more Helm of the Hosts out there.
Absolutely.
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
So either way, pretty cool stuff, and I like it overall.
I take it, yeah.
Cool. One Patrick Sullivan at Basic Mountain, one of the coolest guys around with all the sweet, excellent takes, was excited to announce that he has accepted a contract as a remote consultant for Magic's play design team. He says, Magic has been a major part of my life for 25 years, and getting to touch it in some small way is a tremendous honor.
Aaron Forsyth chimed in on this, and they don't normally do remote arrangements, but said that they were just so eager to have Patrick that they were willing to work with him on that and allow him to work remote. Normally, you got to move out there, like Dean, Tom Ross. That's something we've all seen them do. That inevitable car ride to Washington, and so the fact that they're willing to bend on this says something. And Patrick has a good eye for the game. He has a lot of really great takes, and I look forward to seeing what Magic looks like with him at the wheel.
And he's got a ton of game design experience over the past decades. I think he was one of the creator designers of Versus System, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he? I'm not sure.
And but he's got, maybe it was the WoW TCG. I forget what he was.
He is leaving Direwolf in order to do this, but he said that he also has some other contracting gigs in the wings as well. So it sounds like, and he also mentioned, I love the little fact that he slipped in the fact that he's expecting another kid. So congratulations on 2 babies for Patrick Sullivan. Yeah.
I am expecting more red cards that are
You're expecting 2 jobs. That's
some people have to move, and some people are Patrick Sullivan. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
If you're Patrick Sullivan, the world moves for you.
Get your bag. I'm not mad.
Yeah. Get y'all chicken. As
get y'all chicken.
You gotta get y'all chicken while you can.
Okay.
Says the beast.
Get that bread.
You guys aren't sports fans. You don't know.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No.
Actual zero. Getting your chicken.
When you say get that bread, I think you mean like garlic bread. Like that's where I'm coming
from. Go Google get y'all chicken later. It was a post NFC Championship game interview.
Is that like get more chicken?
All right.
With what's his name?
Okay.
What's up?
I'm just giving you crap. I'm like, it's sports, whatever. All right. Ponies the Galloping. Remember that?
I do.
Yeah, I have one on my nightstand.
Very nice. Well, let me tell you, you helped raise $784,186 exactly for a fantastic cause to help kids around the world.
It is nice that they told us exactly how many dollars.
I needed to know the exact dollar amount.
Great.
Yeah.
No, it's terrific. Yeah. I'm just giving them a hard time. This is obviously terrific, fantastic for the kids. They sold, based on, if you do some math, something like 25,000 plus copies, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
Great. And it's a super cool promo, and they did a great job and way to raise a bunch of money for some kids.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. The Latam Magic series. Aaron, you want to talk about this from
I don't know
Willy?
Too much about this, but I do know that there has been some general frustration when it comes to Latin America not being given very many events, particularly when it comes to the fact that their events are usually well attended. And on top of that, there's a lot of talent in Latin America. You can even see some of those faces on that, Pick Your Champion website. So, there is this weird disconnect of really talented people, really great attendance, and you get like one event, maybe 2 if you're lucky. And Willy Edel has really been spearheading this movement to kind of be the change that you want to see. And they've been he's been working on this Latam Magic series in 2020, which seems to be doing really well. They have a lot of stores and TOs that are interested. There's a lengthy Facebook post where they attempt to answer some questions about it. It does seem to be offering Pro Tour slots as well.
Yes.
So I hope this is successful and that they can get that void filled that Wizards is not really filling for them.
Yeah, I mean they're covering a ton of area down there.
Mm-hmm.
They have a north version, they have a south version, with all the different countries, and clearly this is a huge undertaking. I wish Willy nothing but the best. Hope it goes well, and congrats to all those players who now have sweet events they can go to.
And they even have a couple ways that you can support them. You know, tell your friends about it, contact the stores, let them know that they're interested. You know, this is a really, really big move, and this is what needs to happen. You know, I'm sure we'll talk later about the legacy fiasco, but you know, I think people forget that you have the ability to inspire change. And you know, if your format is not being supported anymore, you can start your own events and you can make your own series and your own circuits, that your formats don't have to die, and you really can make that happen.
Right, and if you happen to be down there amongst the areas in which he is having these events, show up. You know, that's the most important part, is people
Butts in seats.
Butts in seats will keep events happening.
Absolutely.
If you don't want them to keep happening, just don't show up. That's how it works. There was a announcement that during the MIT Mystery Hunt kickoff, the MIT Mystery Hunt is this thing they do every year, and it's sort of like a giant sort of puzzle. I guess it was almost like escape rooms before escape rooms.
I think it's more of a scavenger hunt.
Scavenger hunt plus escape room type thing. It's a bunch of puzzles you have to solve. The point is, someone was tweeting, and they said, "Oh my gosh, you know, at the kickoff presentation, there's an actual onstage wedding with 2 people getting married for real. This is adorable." And then Mark Rosewater quoted it and said, "This is Mark Gottlieb and his now wife Gabby. Congrats, you two."
He works for Wizards?
Yes. Oh, yes. Mark Gottlieb's been there for years and years. I've met that guy a long time ago.
Sounds familiar.
He's super cool, super smart, does a great job, and obviously congrats to him and his new wife. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Moving on here to the WPN Premium Perks. You know, Wizards asks you to jump through some hoops in order to get the WPN Premium status. You got to do a bunch of stuff. You got to send them videos. Got to adjust things like uniforms, signage, all of that stuff's got to be just how they want it. And as a result, you'll get some really cool events, such as the World Championship Viewing Party. They are giving you, so they're going to hold a standard event during the World Championship. So, you know, ideally you have the stream on in the background or whatever.
Right.
Well, to the top 16, you're going to get a foil alternate art Crucible of Worlds. That's like a $50 bill.
Wait a minute. So it's a viewing party that you're not going to be able to watch because you'll be playing in an...
Yep.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. All I know is the Crucible of Worlds, an awesome promo.
I'm here for the party. I'm not here for the viewing.
I'll take it. Here for the party. Well, they're also giving away the Mystery Booster. The Mystery Booster is going to have foils in them at this point instead of the playtest cards.
Right, instead of the playtest cards. Which some of those playtest cards, by the way, are expensive AF.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
They certainly are. But the thing is, these are going to have foils in them. But as far as I know, they actually haven't revealed the list of those foils. Feel free to confirm
Are you sure that wasn't in that? There was another list in the previous tab. Is that it? With like Ayara and...
I'm not sure. Please link me in the chat if I'm correct on that.
These are a lot, yeah.
But the point is, mystery boosters for WPN Premium stores is a thing, and those mystery boosters have a lot of value in them, just based on how many reprints are in them and how many good cards are in them. And as far as I know, it's a really fun draft format because everything's just so crazy. You're never going to have anywhere close to the same draft twice, which is part of the appeal. Also, there's going to be the foil commander collection later in the year. They're going to have a commander collection that's going to be green. We have no idea what's in it, but it
all
only
staples,
takes...
all green, all reprints. The color, whoa.
I mean, all it takes is one doubling season to make that thing shine.
Yeah.
So we shall see. And other stuff, like they have a premium frame and a plaque and some other stuff that they're able to
I saw that plaque at my LGS the other day. Shout out to the Board Game Barrister.
Very nice. All right. Well, so the Wizards is putting, resources and time and promos products into stores that take the time and effort and money to get the WPN Premium status. So I think that's really sweet. And let's keep that rock and roll. Like that whole viewing party thing, just like I just came out of nowhere.
Well, the viewing parties, I think it's a fine idea. I just think it's confusing that you're gonna have it. Like when I think of viewing party, I think of like Super Bowl parties where like you're actually watching the event, like unfettered, undistracted.
I don't watch the Super Bowl when I go to the Super Bowl parties. I'm there for snacks and commercials.
But you know what I mean? Like you're not doing other things while you're watching it though. Like I think it's odd that it's like here's a tournament that no one's gonna. You're not gonna do both.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, there's something to do between rounds, for example. Watch coverage, which is nice.
I'm at my viewing party to get y'all chicken. Is what I'm there for.
Get y'all chicken. Get it. Well, look, Wizards is once again asking you to create something creatively. They did a Hawaiian shirt, and now they are doing Theros. This is the Escape Your Fate thing.
Yeah, 15-second videos.
a
Just
very
like
own
little
film
flash film. Yeah.
Right, and 15 seconds, honestly, with the world that we grew up with Vines, like you could have given like
TikTok,
6 seconds, 10 seconds. They could have been a lot shorter than 15 for what it's worth.
The statue's beautiful.
Yeah, the final 4 winners will each receive a one-of-a-kind Ashiok sculpture and additional prizes for the top 10, which I thought was really cool.
And it's 15 seconds maximum. So it's like how many cards you can have in your sideboard. So TikTok, you can enter your TikToks if you want to, kids.
Yeah.
With your TikToks, I don't know.
I don't know your tiki-takis.
With your flip-flops and your tiki-takis. I don't know how to.
So tiki-taki,
but it's cool. I mean, I like little flash film style things. This just rubs me the wrong way again about these weird, like, although they're not turning this into an item like they did the shirts. So I do like that they are engaging more in the artistic side of things.
Yeah, that's fair. They're not making something they can essentially sell later or use in some way. All right, so Cardmarket. The Cardmarket series is what happens. I believe this is over in France. They have starting with Paris.
Yeah.
Or does this go over all over Europe? I can imagine.
Starting with Paris, so it's going to be all over the EU, but it's starting with Paris. If you win any of our standard, Pioneer, Limited, or Legacy main events, Legacy support, or make the finals of the Modern main event, you will be competing in the second Players Tour in Copenhagen.
Very nice.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so that's really sweet, and giving Players Tour invites to different outlets is a terrific idea. They should keep doing that, and congratulations to Cardmarket for making that happen, and to the players who now have those opportunities over in Europe, which is
I think Cardmarket has been around for a while. I think they're the ones that are behind the. They've been providing eternal support for a while. I seem to recall there being there's a regular Modern, Legacy, and Vintage event that happens in Europe, I think twice a year. And I believe they're the ones behind it, and they usually put on a good show.
Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the Players Tour structure has been brought up and discussed.
This is a lot.
The Players Tour, honestly, the more you kind of look at it, the Players Tour finals, those are the big dogs, right? That's the big money. Yeah. And the Players Tour itself is looking closer and closer towards like a really awesome, hard to get to Grand Prix than it is like a sort of quote-unquote pro tour as we would describe them. You have 16 rounds, 15 points is needed. It used to be 12 back in the day to make day 2. And what we'll get gear grindy later about the top 8 matches being best of 3. That pisses me off. And the top 8th, or I'm sorry, the 5th through 8th place have different values in terms of prizes, and those are all determined. Random. Well, those are all determined by your tiebreakers in the tournament, and you can't just play it out between those people who missed out on, quarterfinals or whatever.
Weird.
I don't know. It's weird.
I still kind of hate that deck lists are open. I still hate that.
That was definitely part of the culture that we really embraced.
Yeah, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on. Like, time has moved past me. But
I mean, the secret tech days essentially have passed on in some form or fashion.
Yep.
Which is unfortunate, but the structure is kind of weird, and ultimately, you have to go like sort of 12-4 or better to make the Players Tour finals. You need 12 or 4 or better in Brussels or Phoenix, and 11-4 for Nagoya. So that's kind of a thing. All right, let's move on here to Ondřej Stráský, who announced that he is retiring from streaming.
I didn't even know he streamed. No shade. I just didn't know. Like,
and he has a little bit, as Ondřej has done, kind of come and gone, as I understand it.
Right. Well, he retired from Magic and then won a Pro Tour.
Yeah.
You were about to slip into your Savage voice again, weren't you?
Well,
a little bit. He's got the Ondřej Stráský. No, he doesn't actually sound like that.
He won a Grand Prix, but either way.
Whatever.
He said he's going to be part of the Magic Pro League, and that's a stressful thing. He's always going to be preparing for some event constantly all the time.
Yeah.
And when you're streaming, you're not exactly kind of sharpening the blade.
No.
Correct.
If you're
performing, you're not testing.
Yeah.
Right. I know that this is a huge pull for Hearthstone pros in particular, because a lot of the top pros are big. The top of the streaming echelon are also some of the top of the player echelon. The overlap is a lot more homogenous at the top for Hearthstone than it is for Magic. Whereas a lot of the top, I mean, it's not exactly the same. Obviously, you have your LSVs and your shows and whatnot, but there are there are people who stream who aren't upper echelon players, and vice versa. much more commonly in Magic.
Yeah.
And I know that you often have to choose. You often have to say, am I going to be the best streamer or be the best player? Because you can't really do both.
And I applaud him for having the self-awareness to make this decision. You know, a lot of people don't know that about themselves, you know, or they're not willing to have that conversation of, you know, I can't do all of these things, or I need to be like this person. And so for him to look at himself and say, you know, I can't be like Croakies, I can't be like Mengu and do everything. This is what's best for me. I think that's a really mature thing to do. And I hope this all works out for him.
Right, versus just like going straight for the burnout. And,
yeah, you know, just feeling like you have to, and you know, you have to do this because everyone else is doing it, or what's, you know, it's just not good.
All right, so I want to go ahead and move on here to Desperate Ravings, just so we have enough time to talk about this because it's kind of frustrating. So Wizards had an AMA with their esports people.
Well, it was an Ask Me Almost Anything.
Yeah, can't ask
by
me.
their own description. Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of weird.
Well, it makes sense when you see their answers. Yeah.
Right. I mean, they won't give you the answers more or less that you're looking for, but okay, sure. Either way, so Wizards decided to answer a question about no legacy events in the first half of the year. Someone said, "How come?" Bendrago responded. They said, as mentioned below, it's in order to make room for Pioneer, is a correct guess. Between Standard, Modern, Pioneer, and Limited, not to mention a Teams event here and there, we can't always squeeze in everything we would like. Legacy, here we go. While it has a strong following in those who play it, has the lowest play numbers of any of those formats. And yes, there are a variety of reasons for Legacy's lower play numbers, including card and play opportunity availability. But we have to look at what play numbers are, not what they could be. That last line, y'all, that's a little condescending. I'm not going to, like, for real. Seriously?
So there's a couple of things at play here, which are very upsetting. The first thing is that these events have been set up to fail. When you have a GP in Niagara Falls over Easter weekend, knowing that your demographic tends to skew older and has families and kids that can't make this trip, and then turn around and say the event didn't do well, it's because you didn't give us the best chance to do well. And so to turn around and say, oh, well, it didn't do well, sorry, what choice did it have? On top of that, somebody else brought up a really great point that I don't think gets brought up enough, is that here of late, Wizards is not going for an established audience. You know, back in the day, you used to be able to look at a main event's attendance and say 1,000 people came out, therefore this GP was a success. Wizards isn't interested in that anymore. They don't want to hear about the same 1,000 pros that are going to come out for every GP and grind. They want unique visits. They want new faces, new bodies, new blood that they can expose to these cards and get into these formats. And, you know, you can say that Bologna had 1,600 people, which it absolutely did, and you can point to New Jersey and say it had 4,000 people, but it's 4,000 of the same people. You know, new players are not coming into these events and being exposed to these cards because they don't have access to these cards. And so I think both of these things are true. I think that these events were put out to pasture and set up to fail. And at the same time, the metrics that Wizards is after right now are not just butts and seats. They want new butts, and Legacy is just not capable of giving you that.
Like, it's basically impossible. And Wizards will not get rid of the reserve list.
No.
And as much as I wish and hope and pray, they're just not gonna. And we're going to be stuck with that forever.
But the good news is, like I mentioned earlier, is there are a lot of TOs that are stepping up to the plate. I think there's a store on the East Coast that is having a Leaving a Legacy open. There's a store in Arizona that consistently puts up good numbers for Legacy. Nerd Rage Games supports Legacy in the Midwest. Card Kingdom has Legacy events. So it sucks that, you know, we most likely won't get a GP this year, but there are stores that are trying. And like we said earlier with the Latam series, you need to show up and you need to
and Europe. So
and Eternal Weekends, of course, and they're trying.
So I, on Twitter, someone had went through the average GP attendance, the last 5 Grand Prix of the Legacy format, the Modern format, and Standard format. The average attendance for Standard was 500. The average attendance for Modern was 899, and the average attendance for Legacy was 1,170. And so I said, okay, Twitter, you're sitting there, you're in the corporate office of Wizards, all right? You're in the boardroom, and you present this data to Chris Cox, and they say, okay, how does Wizards of the Coast make money from this format / turnout? Why promote and market Legacy instead of Standard, Modern, or Pioneer? What do you say? Well, guess who responded? One Patch Sullivan.
Hey, I thought it was going to be Chris Cox.
All right. Patrick says his was, in a game with rotation, it is powerful to tacitly. Oh man, I got there first time. To tacitly highlight that some cards don't merely hold their value over time, but become significantly more valuable. Playing with cards that are 25 years old implies a longevity to the game unmatched by any competitor. So.
Is that in defense of Legacy, or?
Yes, that is in defense of making it happen.
Okay.
He says that's a case that he would make, probably a tough sell in any marketing meeting, and hard to argue the granular value of Legacy versus Modern, even if you concede the above has value not easily captured on a spreadsheet. Like there's something, there is value, some amount of value, in getting all of these players, even if they're the same ones, to come back to Magic and to come to these events and to essentially celebrate the game and celebrate these decks that they've put in so much time and effort and money into. But what is that value, and how can they prove it? And if they can't sell cards to those people, they can't make Legacy Masters. If you can't say you're going to have a new player acquisition like you can with Commander, because you sure ain't new player acquisition, there's nothing with Legacy. So is it worth shelling out 30 grand in prize money plus whatever else they're paying and helping Channel Fireball with to sate this group of people?
No, yeah, it's
tough. It's really tough in a boardroom situation of, we have X dollars that we can spend and we can put them in all these little piles, and which one is going to help the company the most?
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to, when you spend $1, what option brings back the most, and all of the math they have points to Legacy, despite the fact that the Legacy attendance is higher. The math that they have internally suggests that the $1 they spend on a Legacy tournament brings back significantly less than any other format. So it's tough to, I don't know those numbers. That's not something we get to know. No. But clearly they have the numbers, because they wouldn't be making these decisions willy-nilly, or more specifically, if the data pointed in an opposite direction. So
right. So Wizards, or I guess it's Channel Fireball Events, updated the Magic Fest 2020 schedule with more events being announced. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the screen right now so you guys can take a look at it. And there is no Legacy on the schedule. And obviously that part of that was prompted here. Right. But as you can see, there, July 10th, you have Minneapolis is limited, and July 17th, Liverpool for limited, and so on. And you'll notice that there's going to be an event on November 27th, which is Thanksgiving weekend in Japan. I feel that's pretty safely not going to be Legacy. No. They could do it the week before in Memphis. That might be okay.
I mean, it could be. I mean, based on their track record, I mean, you could. I think it'd be funny if it was, because I wouldn't be surprised if it was. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Right. Eternal Weekend, Pharmacist Judge notes, is also during.
It was the weekend before Christmas.
Yeah, and I mean, that's December 18th in Portland. Please don't sabotage these events with bad dates.
Yeah, there was some criticism regarding this in terms of the UK getting another limited GP, which they had last year. Yeah. Minneapolis being limited is quite a bummer, because I was looking forward to going to that one. They also changed Bilbao to Valencia.
Yes,
so
that was on purpose. That one was because of exterior reasoning. There's a big football match in town that weekend, so they had to move away. They had a big derby between two of the major teams. The whole town, the whole city was going to be nothing. It was going to be impossible to get hotel rooms. It's going to be impossible to take a cab anywhere. So that's a good change.
Which is a shame, because I loved Bilbao from the time I was there. So it's just like, my heart kind of hurts a little bit.
So, every once in a while, you kind of look around and you say, man, where are all the people of color in Magic the Gathering? You're like, what? Why is, for example, Yu-Gi-Oh has a ton of players of color, and that's awesome. So why can't we have that type of experience? Well, Lawrence Harmon wrote a Google Doc here. Essentially, it says, "Where are the blacks?" And he says there's a huge deficit of black Magic players, and he kind of,
to be clear, he is also a black Magic
he's also
player.
A black. Yeah. So, and he's talking about, when you grow up, you had, they had Pokemon, Digimon, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. This is all products easily promoted through an anime that's available on public television, because the ability to get Magic cards, to go to a store that you're going to need to cultivate a relationship, to be able to travel to that store, travel back to that store, go through bad neighborhoods, versus, do your friends even have cards? Do they care? Is it marketed to you in any way like a anime is showing you a rudimentary version of the game, and that just gets them right into playing. And so you can have Kaya and Teferi on everything, but that's not like making these inroads.
Representation only gets you so far.
I thought that was so interesting that he zeroed in on that, because I think a lot of people think that that's enough, and it's certainly a piece of the puzzle, but he was very very blunt in saying that that's basically nothing, that is not bringing these kids in inner city neighborhoods or urban neighborhoods into the game. This was really, really enlightening.
This was wonderfully blunt, because let's put it right here. He says, throwing black faces into your IP isn't a real acquisition model, because we've already shown that we don't really care about that. But hey, keep randomly throwing Teferi and Kai in sets, because that's going to make a difference.
Woo. I mean, he's not wrong. And he does bring up a lot of things that I think isn't that the definition of privilege? You don't really realize how good you have it.
Exactly.
And so when he mentions these things of, it's very easy for you to go to a local game store and play a game, where somebody in a neighborhood that doesn't have access to that, has to take a really long bus ride to get there. Or, they can go to a Dollar General or a CVS and pick up a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh, but they can't find a pack of Magic there. And these are things that I've never had to think about, because the game has been so readily accessible to me. I can pack up and go to a GP at a moment's notice, and I can go, and go and find many local game stores. I didn't realize how good I had it until I read this article. This was very good.
Yeah. I'll be honest. The first game store I went to was a place called Darts USA. It was not the nicest place I've ever been, and it was in a pretty dangerous part of town. I had to leave my cushy neighborhood, and my mom stayed in the parking lot while I was playing Magic in the store. So my experience for this is slightly different. Mm-hmm. However, it is true that comic book stores are primarily in more affluent neighborhoods, and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon are more readily available, not necessarily just at those stores.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree that there is a structural problem.
It's about having a place to play and providing them with cards to play with. And he says, realistically, if you want more black kids in Magic, you have to take the game to them.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike Wildspeaker, who's a friend of mine locally that teaches science at a local high school and runs an after-school game club that is predominantly, black youth and people of color. And he's been doing a lot of work to bring the game to them and get these kids interested in the game, and even bringing them and getting them into pre-releases. I remember when I played in the Throne of Eldraine pre-release, one or two of his students came to our LGS and had a really, really good time, and didn't know that these things were available to them. And once they were exposed to that, they were hooked.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was just sort of a brilliant article that I would never have this perspective, so I want to see it. I want to know, oh wow, I never thought about you're watching so much anime, and that's what kind of brings you together, and so that's why you're playing more Pokemon, you're playing more Yu-Gi-Oh, because you see it all the time. And maybe the Magic TV show on Netflix might help. I mean,
maybe.
Well, if you have access to Netflix, which is what, $12 a month, and
there you are. It's not on basic cable.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Magic Mike's is a show that talks about the issues. Unfortunately, I will speak for myself. I am ill-equipped to correctly speak on this issue.
I'm also ill-equipped to speak on this issue.
Sure. I think that it is good that we recognize that we have our blind spots. This is if you wish to learn more about this topic, please ask Lawrence and other members of the community who have a better angle on this issue than us.
Yep.
There you go. So Sam Black chimed in really quickly with talking about the allied lands and Pioneer. And I don't play a lot of Pioneer, so I didn't know.
Yeah.
But apparently the enemy color fixing is way better than the allied color fixing.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a thread here where he was talking about him and Todd Anderson and Canister that all seem to think that the mana in Pioneer is still not great. The fetch lands were famously banned before the format even went live. And so, we're having to use really awkward mana bases. And he's basically just asking Wizards to, improve that somehow. And, Wizards, the Esports account did chime in on this. I would be surprised if anything changed, but it is, again, the birth of a format. We're watching the birth and an evolution of a format in real time. And so I think if anybody is going to spot these flaws, I think it should be some of the best players in the game, like Sam and Todd and Canister, and who knows, maybe something will come down the pipe.
Your options for lands in Pioneer are Pain lands, which are only enemy Pain lands in Pioneer. You have the shock lands, right? So you have every combo with shock lands. Enemy Pain lands, allied color reveal lands like Port Town and Game Trail.
Oh yeah.
Enemy fast lands.
Oh, not even like
enemy man lands. You have the battle lands like Cinderglade and Prairie Stream, which are allied. You have all 10 of the isolated chapels. You have all 10 of the temples. You've got a couple of cycling lands, but yeah, it's very obvious that between the pain lands and the fast lands, enemy mana is so much better.
Yeah, and Sam Black is he not was just like, hey, we need the allied mana. He's like, look, he wanted to join Todd Anderson and Canister MTG is
Canister
Pieter
Glukowski.
Just say Canister.
Just say Canister. Just say Canister.
Yeah, so Todd and Canister are expressing that they should add 1 to 2 allied dual land cycles to the list of Pioneer legal cards immediately in an emergency announcement. We need this allied mana right now. Well, the format's going to fall to pieces if we don't get this allied mana right now.
I looked at a top 8 recently of Pioneer, and it was like 6 monocolor decks and 2 blue-white control
Chonky
decks.
Red is the #1 deck in
Chonky
Pioneer.
Red won the tournament.
Red.
Like mid-range red, and then like Elves is good.
Yeah.
A bunch of weird tribal strategies.
Mono black vampires is said to be the Jund of the format. Like, what a world,
That's fantastic. Good old Chonky Red. Goodness gracious. With Torbrand and Glorybringer.
Chonky Red is like the ugly Pioneer.
Yeah. Glorybringer is like amazing in Pioneer. So
I love
5-drop 4/4. Karizev.
Give me the Karizev all the time.
Basic. I do like the vampires deck though, which is very on brand for me. But
very nice. But either way, so Ian Duke replied and said, "No artificial added legality changes are planned because they just don't do that.
No Pioneer Masters coming."
Yeah, but he said that they have been aware of it since the
Secret
format
Lair
launched, and they have been part of the plan for future sets already in the pipeline. But obviously, that's going to take a while to get here. So I'd expect to see the fast lands come back at some point. They're just too useful, too powerful.
Or the fetch lands in Zendikar.
No fetchies.
There's no fetch lands.
Fetchies.
No fetchies.
Well, maybe they'll be like muted fetches or like.
And even if they print them, they won't be legal because they're already banned.
So, Wizard, I'm going to bounce it down here a little bit because we only have a few minutes left. But Wizards for the Theros story. Someone asked.
Story?
God, it was
just gonna say what
you went from 3,000 plus word, nuanced, powerful, at least very least emotional stories, presented by the story team to 1,000 word like dump of information. Oh, by the way, here's this planeswalker they created out of thin air. And someone said, "Is the lack of story for Theros the new norm?" And Rosewater said, "No, it is not." And I'm like, thank God. He also continued, someone said, "Hey Mark, since you linked the story article earlier, can you confirm or deny that Ikoria will be getting a summary like that or something a little longer?" And he says, Ikoria will have a story, not just a summary, which is awesome. Actual story would be nice because, man, this is one of those, like, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And you're like, man, those story articles.
And put up a
Yep, they
novel.
put up a story summary. They sure did, and you're like, "Dang, I like that Paradise." When I had like sort of stories from people who could write, and it was really sweet. So that's nice to hear, which I appreciate, and we'll get to see what happens in Ikoria a little better than we did with Theros, which is nice. Let's see here. One last little bit here I want to talk about in splash damage. The end of Star Wars Destiny. Now, Star Wars Destiny is really cool for me because as I was hired at Cool Stuff, I got to see, I've gotten to see this game's entire birth and death from beginning to end. All right. And there were so many opportunities that this game just completely blew. I can't even tell you. The last set was supposed to come out in Q4 because Was there a movie? Did they release a Star Wars movie in Q4 this year? Did it cap off the end of the trilogy
I think
that
so.
we've been waiting for years and years? Could you have possibly had a product that would tie perfectly into a movie like that? Wouldn't that be weird? Yeah, they delayed it, and they delayed it again, and now it might show up in February. I don't know. And that is the exact type of crap that ruined that game. A lot of people, like, because now I work, in the board game world and the non-Magic world.
Yeah,
Magic has their crap together, and
they
those
do.
other games just don't.
They show up on time.
I mean, our board games aren't great though.
No, they
correct.
don't. What I'm saying is they don't show up on time at all. Wizards has it together, and everybody else is like this crazy hot mess. Like Pokemon's
but the
very good.
Dominaria board game didn't show up.
And that's not from Wizards. That's from WizKids.
true. That's
And
fair.
so WizKids was a board game publisher.
So you're trying to say that like we do our card game. You're not saying our board games are good, are you?
No, of course not.
Just making sure. Okay.
What I'm talking about is being able to hit your release dates, okay? And one of the things that sank this game was they could not hit their release dates. They kept pushing stuff back. Their organized play kit was delayed for however, I think it was months. It was bad. And so people wanted to be involved in organized play, but they didn't have the materials. And they wanted to get excited about the next set, but they would have set releases every 4 months, which sometimes turned into 5 or 6 months. And that's an easy way to kill all the enthusiasm about your game. And I went back and I got to go look and see all the sales charts of Star Wars Destiny. And let me tell you, in 2017, they had a huge opportunity to take that game from good to great, and they blew it. And it's just so frustrating to go back and see you needed to properly run a spoiler season. You needed to get involved with your community. You needed to figure out a way to hit your release dates no matter what. To say if you're going to have a pre-release on so-and-so date, we just take that for granted as Magic players.
We do.
Like, Theros, if pre-release is happening, that's not a question mark. We're going to show up and it's going to be there. That is not every other company, and that's
also not every country. We've heard stories of countries that haven't received product in time to have pre-releases on time and releases on time.
Absolutely. So if
that happens over and over and over again, your game dies.
And far as I know, the game's actually really good. Star Wars Destiny as a game is super good and fun, and has that cool dice element or whatever that's into it. And a lot of people got a lot of good times out of it. But like, man, you can take a great game and a great IP, for God's sakes, it's Star Wars, and you can mess it up just by little tiny mistakes that over time just get people out of your game, and now they don't want to be interested, because why am I going to get invested in a game that's not hitting its marks like I am being a player of it?
As somebody who kind of works in the gaming industry, do you think that there could be like some long-term damage to the brand? Like, because I know that the guy, the lead designer, the lead developer had written a little blurb about what he's doing afterwards. And he's saying, I can't wait to start on new projects at Fantasy Flight Games. Like, can that hurt the brand that they tanked this game and that they didn't keep their release date? So this isn't going to follow them or anything.
Nah, I mean, Star Wars is too big. You know what I mean? It's like if they make a bad Avengers game, they're working on some magical Avengers game for PS4.
Right.
No.
I mean, Fantasy Flight Games. Are people going to look at like the next game and say, you guys bombed a game? Or okay,
Fantasy Flight has so many IPs, and they have some great game designers, no joke. I just wish, like, if they had hit their releases, that game could have been absolutely incredible.
My guess is that something within Fantasy Flight Games will happen where they know whose fault this is.
Yeah, I hope they move on from they learn something from this, because
they will replace those people.
Yeah.
And try again later.
Right, and recently heads did roll at that company. The entire division that made the Lord of the Rings card game for Steam, they got canned.
Wow.
Their entire RPG department apparently got let go.
God.
And it's rough, and some people from like all over, like customer service, like all sorts of people had left the company.
They're based out of Minnesota, aren't they?
They are, Minneapolis. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've been up there. It was really cool to take a look. All right,
quite cool in Minnesota.
Yeah, it was. It's very cold. And we're going to turn the corner here to the finisher, and now we get to the funnies.
Oh boy,
I'm so ready for this joke, y'all. I have not been more excited for Evan to read a setup. I don't think ever. I think that when it comes to the combination of story and punchlines that I'm making my co-hosts read, nothing has topped what we're about to talk about. Evan,
This week, former Magic writer and current random action generator Travis Wu released a video in which he discussed some things. Multiple things.
Multiples.
If you will.
Yeah.
In the interest of keeping this show family friendly, we will not go into detail.
No, we won't.
But let's just say Travis recorded, posted, and busted a 15-minute video.
It was like 25, actually.
Was it?
25-minute video about how to best, quote, have a good time, unquote, in bed. This is not uncomfortable at all. Now, you might not take your sexual advice from the man who is best known for trailblazing living end.
Speak for yourself.
But I know a winning idea when I hear one. So tell me now, it's your turn to pitch your 25-minute sexual advice video. What are your tips and tricks for a, quote, winning strategy? Ruben?
Man, you were so enthusiastic about that setup. I'm not sure that I can.
And you know more about this than anybody.
The joie de vivre of Evan's performance there.
Look, I could have went on like, you ready to make a video about some sexual
Get
blah,
in
blah,
there.
blah?
Get in
Not
there.
really.
No?
No.
All right. Well, here's the thing. I've found that the best strategy is an aggressive tack.
Ooh.
Oh.
Get aggro. Get in there. Turn them sideways, always be attacking. Am I right? So my big hint is this. Get into the red zone. You know what I'm saying?
Who blocks, right? Who blocks?
Who's the beatdown?
That's
the
right.
beatdown?
God.
Math is for bottoms.
Yeah.
Jesus. Aaron?
Well, you know that when I play, I want to feel something. And there's only one strategy for me, dredge. So you better come prepared if you're matched up with me. I mean, no bans, no restrictions, no holes barred. And the safe word is ley line.
Oh my God, this is incredible. Now, I'm a man with some tournament experience, all right? Hashtag 5 kids. So listen up while Old Man Magic learns you some life skills today. You know I've always loved the fatties. I'm also a fan of White Weenie. But for my money, there's only one deck for me, and that's Boom Bust.
That's right.
Woo!
I never want to hear that word again.
Lord Almighty.
No busting.
That ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. I'm glad this episode wasn't a bust.
I am also glad this wasn't a bust.
Oh my God.
I also, because I had some issues earlier, I don't have the final slide up yet, so you're going to give me a minute while I awkwardly fill time here.
Oh my God, professionalism.
I know, right? It's incredible. All right, so we're going to have Ruben say something.
Yeah.
Make a joke.
So
Too late. Final slide. All right. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuff.com, our co-sponsor, CardOrder.com, my co-host, Aaron Campbell, Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching or listening. I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, Twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMicsPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMicsPodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes and Spotify, or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.